Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, SEC Week 6. We got some big games coming up, and it's definitely time to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Absolutely. All right, yeah, Week 6. There are a bunch of fantastic games lined up for this weekend, and let's take a look at these. All right, we're going to start out with Missouri at Texas A&M at noontime. Number 9, Missouri. First of all, I don't think Missouri's for real this year. They were last year, but I don't know. The chemistry's not right. Maybe they lost their defensive coordinator. They don't have that great running back. Something's wrong because they have barely escaped not only Boston College by 6, but then Vandy in overtime. And now they got to go to Kyle Field in Texas to play the Aggies. And I can promise you A&M's going to be waiting for that game. Texas A&M's actually favored by a point, by the way. So that shouldn't shock you. And we may see the mask come off. We'll see. Maybe Missouri has had a couple of bad weeks, and they're the same team they were last year. We're certainly going to find out. All right, next big game is Auburn at Georgia at 3:30, and they got to go to Athens. Now, as you know, Auburn has got the worst luck. They're jinxed. They're totally jinxed, and they're going to have to figure out something to undo the jinx.
Winkum, pinkum, notimus, rex. Protect us all from the man with the hex.
Yep. They're going to have to put their arm over their head and everything. I think Georgia's going to have blood in their eye. They are so upset about losing to Alabama, especially when they had that huge comeback from 30-3. They actually took the lead. Alabama went all conservative and tried to run the clock out on them, which was a huge mistake. You can't play around with Georgia. Look, when it comes to beating either one of those two teams, whether it's Georgia or Alabama, you got to take them out. When you're trying to take out the king, you better take him out, because if you don't, they're coming back. And that's just the way it is. Georgia and Alabama's not going to lay down ever.
It's good to be the king.
I remember Neyland Stadium 2 years ago. They're going to keep coming back at you. But anyway, Auburn is a very good team. Their quarterback play lets them down, and they're almost like a golfer that plays really well, has a great swing, and can't make a 3-foot putt. That's what Auburn reminds me of. And while Georgia absolutely should not look past Auburn, and I know they won't, I don't know what to do with Auburn. I really don't. They're 2-3, which is insane. This team is way better than 2-3, but if you can't make a 3-foot putt, doesn't really matter, does it? All right, next big game, we got Ole Miss at South Carolina. This is going to be very interesting. Oh, and by the way, we do have a very special guest coming on at the end of this program. I'm going to put it on the tail end, and I think you'll be surprised who it is. Ole Miss is favored by 9. I don't think that's right. I really don't. South Carolina's defense is for real. They showed that against LSU and Kentucky especially. They're going to put a ton of pressure on Jackson Dart, and that's what Kentucky did. They put a lot of pressure on him. I'm not convinced that Ole Miss is going to whoop up on South Carolina. I'm not. Now, Carolina is going to have Lenore Sellers play the game of his life. He really needs to play well and not turn the ball over and not make those freshman mistakes that he's been making. I don't know if he's capable of doing that. He's probably not. But I think South Carolina will keep them in the ballgame. I do. Ole Miss played their first good team last week, got beat, and now they're about to face a team that they're at least half good. We know their defense can play. So anyway, that's going to be a fun game, and that's at Williams-Brice, Billy Joe, Tom Bob Parker Stadium. I don't know why they got to have so many names, but anyway, it's at South Carolina, and that can be an interesting place. They'll be ready for them at 3:30. Ole Miss, you're lucky it's not at 7, because it would get ugly.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
No. Oh, no, sir. No.
All right, next on the slate, you got Alabama at Vanderbilt. Normally, you'd say whoopity-doo. But here's the thing. Vanderbilt does have Diego Pavia. He'll try to keep him in the game for a while, but Jalen Milroe's going to run all over that team. Vanderbilt has no athletes that can handle Milroe. They just don't. So I think they'll score at will. They'll win by 20 or 30 points. But Pavia will try to keep him in the game. He's been a fun quarterback to watch this year. He's actually my second favorite quarterback behind Nico. Man, you think Auburn wished they'd have gone out and gotten him? Oh, God, what a difference their life would be right now. I promise you they wouldn't be 2-3. They'd probably be 4-1 or at least 4-1. All right, now we got a big game, Tennessee at Arkansas. Of course, Tennessee's undefeated. They've had a couple of decent wins. North Carolina State. Of course, they beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma, which was a great win. It's 7:30 at night. And Arkansas is not bad. They're 3-2, but they have been in every single game. Nobody's whooped up on them. They could be 5-0, believe it or not, but they're 3-2. What Tennessee's going to have to do is very simple. They've got to stop their rush game and put the brakes on their quarterback, Taylon Green, who's a very good runner as a quarterback. And he's got a decent arm. He's not really connecting at any high percentage rate, but he can make some great throws. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas made a game out of this. I really wouldn't, especially a 7th. Why is every Tennessee game on the road at 7:30? I guess that's what happens when you win and people want to watch you.
Well, you just never know when another beast might come down out of the forest. You understand, don't you, Thumbaloo? This is what we call the deadly game. I'm in it for keeps.
Tennessee's favored by 14, by the way, which is probably about right. So we'll see if they take the gloves off in this one, Tennessee that is, and it may depend on whether or not we've got our tackles back, which would be Lance Hurd and John Campbell. If they're available and playing and starting, we'll probably go full force. If not, we're going to be running the ball a lot, which we do anyway. But anyway, that's going to be a fun game. Don't be surprised if Arkansas plays tough. All right, and lastly, this is not an SEC game, but it sure feels like one. UCF versus Florida at 7:45. Man, the swamp will be ready. And here's why. This is an in-state rivalry, and there's nothing quite like that. UCF can't stand Florida. It's one of the reasons I like them. And I'm going to be rooting for them in this game. That's also why I like FSU. And, oh, my God, FSU. Oh, that's a whole nother subject. But anyway, UCF is favored by 1 point in this game at the Swamp.
At the Swamp.
I can't believe they're favored at the Swamp. Oh, this is too rich, man. I'm enjoying this too much. I really need to be nicer to Florida. Anyway, we'll see what happens with Billy Napier. Everybody knows he's going to get fired. He might win this game. Who knows? It's at, like I said, it's at home. And speaking of a stadium that's got too many names, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Why don't you just add another name? Why don't you just Ben Hill Griffin Kelly Clarkson Stadium and just be done with it?
No, Kelly Clarkson!
That's even worse than Williams-Brice. I'm calling it the Swamp. So that should be a really fun game. I'm going to be watching that one closely. Dang, I wish that wasn't at the same time as my Vols. That's going to be rough. I'll just have to switch back and forth during the commercials. And there'll be plenty of those because we had to switch all the timeouts and everything. So the clock doesn't stop when you get a first down. It doesn't stop when you go out of bounds or any of that. So we can get the games over quicker, not so they can shove in more commercials. That's not what it was about at all. So in other words, I'll get to watch a ton of that game because there's going to be a million commercials. And oh, by the way, let me go back to the Ole Miss game against South Carolina. And I noticed Rooster did a video on this, and also I know Jackpot needs to too. Y'all need to wear out Lane Kiffin and his sorriness with the fake timeouts and the fake cramps.
Allegedly.
I promise you, every single time Lenora Sellers completes a pass over 10 yards, or he runs, or one of your running back gets a big run, there'll be a cramp on Ole Miss's defense. You can count on it every single time. You need to boo the crap out of them, Carolina folks. Now, we do have one great thing going on in this show today. I was able to get Lane Kiffin to come on the show, and I think I'll be able to get some answers out of him because, look, nobody will ask him why he does the fake injuries, so I'm finally going to be able to ask him. I can't believe he agreed to be on the show. But anyway, let's find out what he's got to say. All right, Lane, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm really surprised, but I am glad that you've done that. I want to know, why do you keep having so many fake injuries? It's kind of crazy to me that you're allowed to get away with that. What is the deal with that? Constantly having a guy go down with a cramp every time there's a splash play. You did it to Kentucky so many times, it was unbelievable.
Well, all right, Sports Talk Jay. You've worn me out. You finally got me on your stupid show, and I guess I'll answer a few of your questions. First of all, we don't have any fake injuries. I don't even know what you're talking about. I can't help that we get cramps every time the opposing team gets first down. I don't know why that happens. I have no clue. And here's the other thing. Just because when I do this over on the sideline, like a defensive player or any player that I'm aiming at goes down with the cramp, that's actually a signal that I can feel that they're getting ready to get a cramp, and I'm worried that they're going to be hurting if they don't get down immediately. So I'm helping them. I know the players that are bad to get cramps, and I'm like, you better get down because it could happen. And it just, look, when you know your players as well as I do, that's a typical thing. So quit blaming me for that. Secondly, while we're on the subject, the only reason you give me grief because you're mad because I left your stupid VOLS. Let me tell you something. I can do as I please. The fact that I left the day before National Signing Day and left you in a lurch means nothing to me, okay? I'm not a Tennessee guy. I was there for the money and the fame. I'd gotten fired from Oakland by Al Davis because he didn't know how great I am. So what you ought to do is just get over it. And look, this is what I'm going to screw over Ole Miss too pretty soon. You might as well know that. And I've already started flirting with Florida. You know how that goes. As a matter of fact, I think I'll make a tweet right now. Florida fans, I know they love me. Let me give them a little heart emoji. There, that'll get them all excited. It's what I do, man.
Well, I appreciate you illuminating that for us a little bit. But just because you can't get a penalty doesn't mean it's not unethical. So, I mean, can't you just at least, be a stand-up guy and just stop that and play teams even? Just look, you've got a great team. Why can't you just beat everybody square up or at least give everybody an opportunity for a fair fight?
Look, everybody's got an opportunity to beat Ole Miss. I'm as fair as the next man. But when it comes to these penalties, look, until they actually make it a penalty, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm Lane. I do as I please. You might as well know that. It's their fault, not my fault when it comes to these penalties. If they're going to let you do these certain things, I'm going to do what I do. So I don't really know what the problem is. It's not my fault I'm doing this. If I was doing it, hypothetically, which I'm not, by the way, but if I was, it's just taking advantage of an opportunity. That's all it is. I would have thought you Tennessee fans, of all people, would have understood. This is how I roll, baby. I'm Lane Kiffin. Don't get it twisted. Why did I even come on this stupid show for anyway? What, 7 people are going to watch me on YouTube? Whoopity-doo on your stupid little show? Why don't I even do this? Don't call me again.
All right. Well, I appreciate Lane Kiffin coming on the show for us. That was helpful. And at least, we got some answers. Pretty disrespectful towards my show, of course, which you got to expect that kind of crap. Look what he did to Tennessee back years ago when he stabbed us in the back. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that. But anyway, I do appreciate him coming on the show and taking the fire. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit this little box right here or this little circle. Help you get my videos. Won't cost you a dime. See, there's something in it for you too. And right over here's the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.